Do you know how triggered I get when I see somebody messing with somebody with some kind of disability or informity, like
I
deformity?
bet.
My brain just goes like, like, kind of like when I see it happening to other people, it creates this. It's happening to me right now.
Hello, my name's Jamie Sparling. Welcome to the FormABLE Podcast. I am the head instructor of Affinity Martial Arts and Wellness in Wausau, Wisconsin. I am here today with Tim Smith, who is the branch manager of MKG, the world famous Minnesota Collie Group in Edina, Minnesota. How's it going, Tim?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Yeah, I just want to say I really appreciate having you on. When you first said that you were gonna have be a part of that school and running it, I was really
Mhm.
excited for you. So it's really a treat for me to be able to catch up. How are you enjoying your time over there?
Oh man, I tell you what, it's like it's like everything else, kind of when you're getting into a new like business type venture. It's got some ups and downs, but I'd say overall the ups are highlighting the downs for sure. You
That's a
know,
beautiful thing when you can say that, man.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now we're in the summer season, so I'm kind of experiencing some of the downs, I guess you could say, per se, on that note.
I know
But
exactly what you mean, and that's one of
you
those
know,
things I talk with Mr. Josh Pryor about.
hmm
I always had a job during the day and taught at night, and I thought, it's going to be great, and it is great that I'm a full-time martial arts teacher. But there's a
hmm
lot of things that we don't think about that go with it. And
right.
yeah, the summer lull and all that, we kind of expect it, but it's still a little bit scary at times.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah,
So
it's
what
something.
what is your number one program that you're teaching over there, brother, that you enjoy?
Well, let's see. I've got a regular Muay Thai class there.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty fun. It keeps everybody in shape. We all smile a lot and occasionally get punched a little bit, but we're
More
all smiling
smiling
at
than getting
the
punched, I'm
same
sure.
time. And I tell you what, and lately it's been summer, hot summertime, humidity, and we are sweating it out. We are
Yeah.
sweating it. It's good. And then, so then I'm running a youth class as well. I've been running youth class. I've been teaching youth classes for Rick for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
And so it seemed like something that I should just get going over there right away in Edina. And although it took a little while to actually launch the youth program, it did finally get going. And I've been running that part for a few months now. And I've got kids that have tested into yellow, probably getting close to orange belt. We're going to probably get into their third test soon. And I got a whole group of guys that are going to start working towards their second test here coming up. And some of them are going to be getting their first test. So it's interesting, my most senior students are only 3 belts in of a 7 belt program, so
Yeah.
it's fresh, it's young, and it gives me a lot of I like it. I like this just starting from the beginning organically and watching it grow. That's so
Yeah.
fun.
It is so much fun. I remember
Yeah.
being out at the Inosanto Academy for my first instructor camp, and at the time, I had some money coming in, and so I didn't have to worry so much about teaching and having students. And I
hmm
remember telling this one particular gentleman, he was from New York, and I said, I don't think I'm going to teach kids. And he literally put his hand on my thigh and he goes, "You'll starve." And I was like, "Huh, that's really really interesting, right?" Uh, and
Oh man.
and that is one of those things that I have found to be absolutely true. And I had no idea, honestly, how gratifying it was to
Mm.
teach the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I've still been kind of a little hands-on at Rick's school still in Minneapolis. And, I'm in there on Saturday mornings teaching a kids class. And sometimes Rick will come by and just stop and watch the kids learning. And then after class, he's like, man, I wish I could get my adults to do that stuff
Ah,
sometimes.
yes.
I don't know. It's just what it is. We
Yeah.
sit and have a conversation about how malleable the brains of the kids are and how easily they learn and adapt to things,
Yeah.
versus somebody who's been stuck in a office chair for 40 years and is trying to figure out how to move his arms and feet at the same time.
Absolutely. They are little sponges.
Huge.
In your children's program, what do you focus on? Is there a specific core art? Is it, I imagine, I'm sure it's got character building and all that stuff involved in it. What does your children's program look like, brother?
So, typically, like I guess I could just kind of explain how I would run a class. Maybe that would kind of help. We
Mm-hmm.
could start there, and then we can talk about the thoughts and ideas behind why I do it this way. But we'll start out with just some kind of quick calisthenic warm up. Go into some stretching from there after we get our heart rates up a little. I like to run a dynamic kind of stretching right before class, just a lot of movements and ranges of motions and things like that. And then we'll go into like a collie section. We'll start working stick work. And it's like everybody. We laugh collie stick fighting, but we're not teaching the kids how to fight with sticks. We're
Mm-hmm.
teaching them coordination. We're
Yeah.
teaching them how to move the right hand and the left foot at the same time, and watching that happen, that's great. So we do a little collie warm up after that, just kind of get the brain firing and working a little bit, get them thinking. And then we'll go into a boxing or a kickboxing portion after that, and then finish it out with a little game time. Everybody gets out on a positive note. Sometimes kids are going to get stripes. We have striping programs, so they get a certain amount of stripes. They're eligible for testing, and
Mm-hmm.
you can tell when some of the kids are disappointed when they're not getting some of the stripes.
Yeah.
But getting out on that, having that game at the end of class. Maybe somebody was having a bad class and they weren't getting one of the drills or whatever. This is just a great way to get out on a good note.
Tim,
And
do you do the stripes before the game?
no, I'll do those after the game.
Okay. Yeah, right as
Yep.
they're lining up, maybe.
Yep. And then we'll high five our way out the door. We'll set up a line and everybody will high five their way through the line. So everybody's getting out and having that one last connection with each other before we all leave.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I try to keep everybody connected. I like them switching partners with each other. And there's always those kids that don't like to work with other kids. And I
Mm-hmm.
kind of force them into it. And I think they appreciate it after a while. I really do, even though they don't want to.
Well, I agree, and I think it helps them to be able to have a little bit more social. That now if we force them a little bit,
Mhm.
then they
Little bit.
have to say hello and they have to do those things, which sometimes punching and kicking is just like, that's the easy part. What do you mean I gotta cross the room and say hello to Bobby? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. There's always that one really athletic kid in class who
Mm-hmm.
just wants to crush it every time he does things and he's going fast. And I'm like, hey, man, when we're working with other people, you have to slow it down a little bit. They're
Mm-hmm.
not where you're at.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, oh, and you could just see him gritting his teeth, and he's like, "What do you mean I gotta slow down?" And he's just like, "Don't hold me back." No, I'm building you up, dude. I'm building
Yes.
you. I'm building it, man. And it's really good to watch those types of progressions, and they always receive. At first it's a little edgy, but a couple of reminders, and they start really picking it up and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they realize that they can start working with all the different people once they can figure that part out. Otherwise, they're always going to be stuck by themselves, and nobody's going to want to train with them because of that fact.
Yeah. Well, and we have school time coming up. So
Hmm.
the amount of just the awkwardness of crossing the room to say hello, all of a
Hmm.
sudden they're a little bit, I would imagine, like anything that's hard after you've done it a couple times, maybe that'll help them cross the room in the class and make a friend.
Yeah, yeah. No, actually the intention. Is
Yeah.
to get kids to be able to talk to each other and just whatever the differences they may have, they're in there for the same reason during that hour every day. And they've got that commonality with each other and just getting people to find a commonality and work and talk to each other and work with each other and play with each other.
Mm-hmm.
The game time really showed nobody's, well, I have had exceptions, but typically when you get to the game time, they're not exactly too choosy about who they play with at that point.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's really
It's
important. What kind of games you play? I'm basically right now. I'm
okay.
getting a private lesson on how to up my kids' class. So I'll take it.
Yeah,
It
no
don't bother
problem.
me.
No problem. I've got a little kind of a like some of the inosano ground movements, the seaweed and whatnot. And
Mm-hmm.
we'll use that guard position to kind of work around. We'll kind of turn it into more of a jujitsu game where we're playing the back take game. We're trying to, one person's on the ground and the other person has to find their way around the body and tag the other shoulder, right?
Okay.
Oh, that could be a challenge, right?
For
And then,
sure.
so that's, yep. So then what I'll do is I'll just let one side work for on the ground for a little while, and they may get tagged once, they may get tagged 3 times, or they may not get tagged, and then I'll make everybody switch the position, and then I'll rotate the groups, right, so that everybody gets a chance to work with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the games I like to do. I just call it the back take game. Pretty simple. We got knee tag, shoulder knee tag. That's pretty fun. That's the kids. I think that one's probably their favorite.
We play that.
Yeah, you play that one?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. Yeah. I'll make boundaries. Sometimes I'll cube out the areas and set them up as partners so they're one-on-one. And then I'll make them rotate partners that way. If there's an odd group, I don't mind playing multiple opponent games. I think that's totally legit. So I'll put a group of 3 in one in a larger corner and then let the other groups work by themselves. Sometimes I won't put any squares down and just make them play multiple opponents the whole time. And then randomly I'll call in everybody against Victor or everybody against Emily, or you know what I mean? And then like now the one person's defending themselves against everybody. That's a riot to watch. I'll tell you what. So I'll like add these little additives to that game,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just change things spontaneously, randomly, and all of a sudden they're like, "What? Oh my gosh!" And then everything changes. It's so fun to watch that. When they go from defending themselves against a certain partner to defending themselves against everybody. That's just a riot.
I imagine the look in their eye for just a second.
Yeah,
A lot of kids like us, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do
mhm,
right, to do it right the first time.
yeah,
I really like that concept, and we try to do the same thing at Affinity of using martial arts games towards the end
hmm,
that build some type of attribute. Uh,
yep,
and sometimes the attribute is just, I got to get
yeah,
past that moment.
yeah, yeah. And then like for the more advanced kids, we don't really do money games for them so much. As
Mm-hmm.
we'll do more of a martial arts type conditioning, where I'll blend like kicks and squats or foot jabs and lunges, or if we're working doing a stick, maybe I'll have them do like a burpee and then grab the 2 sticks. Maybe they'll do their burpee with their 2 sticks in hand and do their burpee and jump,
Yeah.
and get back down and do a couple burpees and get back up and hit. Make things up like that, just goofy random stuff.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think
pretty.
that's goofy at all. I think that's
Yeah.
great.
Oh, it's wonderful. These are things that I actually like to do myself. So,
Yeah.
well,
Makes
well,
sense. Makes sense.
and I take the same attitude when I'm teaching like adult classes too. I'm like, what does Tim want to do today? In the odd chance that it's an odd group and I get to jump into class, what does Tim want to work on today?
I think we are all absolutely guilty of that to a
uh,
certain degree,
yeah.
and it's probably really neat for them too. All of a sudden, like, because if we have something we're working on, then we can almost put a cherry on the top of the drill at the end for them, you
Hmm.
know.
I do the same thing when I'm running like the knife sparring after class. If we're doing
Mm-hmm.
knife, for that time, I'll start being like, everybody against Harry. I'll start changing it
Yeah.
out, or create this kind of same variable effects that I do with the kids when I play their games. Like I do the same thing with the adults.
Yeah.
It works so much fun when the kids are doing it. I'm like, these guys are gonna love this.
Yeah, absolutely. And Collie's always been very serious play anyway.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Or I'll circle up a small group or something and have a larger group surround them, and
Mm-hmm.
they all watch each other's back. That's kind of a fun little game to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you start martial arts? Did you do martial arts as a kid, Tim?
I did. I
Yeah.
did. I want to say I started when I was like 10. Yeah, right. Wild. Yeah, my parents were already separated, but like I was getting in like fights and stuff with all the kids around the neighborhood a lot. And I had a lot of energy when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And then, probably on a more personal note, I had a couple of pretty noticeable birth defects. I'd born with a lazy eye and this horribly dry skin. Just made me really obvious, in certain situations. And the facial deformity was like, I never got that one. That's, I think, the source of most of my fighting when I was growing up was that, it's like the boy named Sue, right? Like, it did that for me. It just like, anyway, so long story short.
Yeah, you're not the only one, brother. You're not the only one. There are certain things that all of a sudden, like that was that inclines people, right? And then sometimes we
Yeah,
almost get scarred from that stuff, and
sure.
we don't even have to necessarily wait for it to get addressed. And we're like, you going there?
Do you know how triggered I get when I see somebody messing with somebody with some kind of disability or informity, like
I
deformity?
bet.
My brain just goes like, like, kind of like when I see it happening to other people, it creates this. It's happening to me right now.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that, man. You didn't have to share
Yeah,
that. That's super cool, but and like Guru Rick talks about in a lot of the seminars, we all have multiple reasons why we're training martial arts, and they're
right.
usually not 100% the reasons we even think they are. We're getting
Yeah.
something else out of it.
So yeah, so my dad signed me up in martial arts, and my mom's like, "What are you thinking? You don't think this kid fights enough, right?" And I'm like, so anyway, Dad gets me signed up in martial arts, and shows me the city bus network, and I'm taking the Minneapolis city bus through uptown and going to Master Rose School on Lindale Avenue, and I started training there when I was a young kid, and like after that, like I like this many fights the rest of my life. It was crazy. It just had the most profound effect on me, and holy cow, it really sucked me out of the negativity that was happening when I was just bouncing around the neighborhood prior to martial arts.
That's a beautiful thing. Thank you for sharing that too. I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day. And, for those folks that are not involved in martial arts, sometimes it looks like an organized violence, which there's a piece of that is true. But quite often, like what happened to you is that martial arts makes us less violent.
Right, absolutely. It gave me a means to control myself, or it gave me the means to learn to control myself, is what it did. So, and I was luckily enough for me, I was able to internalize those lessons because I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that actually happens for everybody. I think there's probably some violent kids that gotten into martial arts and continued to be violent.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, I at that point when I was that young kid, I was in martial arts probably for, I want to say, probably 2 to 2.5 years, and I was in junior high school at this point, and I was still having all kinds of weird issues, dealing with, the whole having my dad not in the house anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
like, which just adds more testimony to the fact that people need dads in their house.
Yeah, brother.
But I don't want to get on that soapbox. But it was like
I'll climb up
my
there with you,
my,
Tim, just so
my
you
ish,
know.
but my issues were they hadn't gone away. They had just kind of changed, So maybe I wasn't like fighting anymore, but I started creating new problems to solve, I guess you could say. And then my dad was like, "Well, this is the golden cherry. This is what he loves to do the most. So let's take away this in hopes that he'll get his act together in school, and then when he gets his act together, he can go back to martial arts." That never actually happened.
Mm.
Not for a long time. It was quite a while, and it was interesting enough. Some of that, maybe I wasn't as violent in fighting with kids as much anymore, but I wasn't a very nice kid there for a while, especially after I'd left martial arts. I kind of reverted into that not nice kid anymore. And it was a long time before I kind of got things sorted out in my own mind, and was able to get back to martial arts again in high school several years later. And I got back in, and I started it. I've been to a couple of different Taekwondo schools growing up, and I got as far as a brown belt. Then with my second run, I was studying for about another year and a half, and then I hurt my ankle skateboarding, and then I didn't go back to martial arts again for a long time. like a long time. But then I don't know. The story unfolds, and I was going through a bunch of weird crap in my head, and I was like, I always kind of wanted to get back to martial arts, and
Mm-hmm.
I was living in the neighborhood of Rick's school, and one day I was just kind of I was into jogging at that point. And I was doing a lot of running, and sometimes I would run past the school and I would see them in their training, and I decided to walk in there one night, and I got information about all their programs, and I was like, I always kind of wanted to learn Jeet Kune Do, and that's where I knew it was happening, and I went in there for JKD class. Probably it was like at the end of 2012, right at the beginning of 2013, and I never
Mm-hmm.
left,
That's a
and that's
beautiful
where I've
thing.
been. Yeah,
I think for a lot of us, that happens. Sometimes life, sometimes family, sometimes addiction. At least that's what took me away from martial arts. And then later on, just knowing where the answers could be and knowing how happy I was at that time brought me back.
yeah. No, we've had our own private conversations about all that, and then
Mm-hmm.
it was after that skateboarding accident I got into partying. I was kind of dabbling as a teenager, but then I was graduated from high school at this point, and I jumped on that party wagon, and it took me a long time to get off that wagon.
It is a
So
bumpy road and it's not easy to get off.
yeah,
And, we see a lot of people that don't,
right,
so I'm thankful to know you now.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure, absolutely,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
So, brother, you started with JKD. That's really funny to me. Uh,
Hmm.
I think of you as a Muay Thai guy. I've seen you do a bunch of martial arts, but I don't know why I
Yeah,
think of you as a Muay Thai guy. Probably because I've seen you in Thai shorts with Thai pads more often, maybe than
probably
not. I don't know.
slugging it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. It's interesting. That was part of this demon that I was dealing with when I walked into Rick's school. Is I had a lot of energy to get rid of, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of anger inside of me. And so I went in there, and I went in there to learn Jeet Kune Do, and I stuck with it for a little bit, and I kind of started dabbling with the Thai pads during the Phase 1 class. And those Thai pads just resonated with me somehow. And I was like, well, that's where all my anger needs to go, is into that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ended up it kind of, maybe I took maybe that to an unhealthy level even at a certain point, as people who deal with addictions will.
Mm-hmm.
And but I think I'm actually pretty proud of the fact that I got through all of Rick's 10 levels of Muay Thai, which, well, to first of all, I mean, aside from since I've been at his school in almost 13 years, I've only ever seen one other level 10 test. So it felt pretty good to like nail that, right? Um,
Congrats, man. That's huge.
it was crazy. That was a fun test. All the tests leading into that were a lot of fun, and it gave me a means of testing my own kind of character a little bit in a lot of ways, getting the goals and achieving those, and just putting in the hard work that it took to get through some of this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was interesting too. One of the last time Master Chais was at our school, I want to say it must have been like 2018, and he's like, "Is anybody want to test, or is there anybody here that wants to test?" And then I was standing next to Giro Dai, and she says, "Yes, sir, Tim." And then she's pointing at me, and I'm looking at her like, "Okay, I guess I'm testing." So I ended up doing a TBA test that weekend during the Thai seminar at Rick's school, and that was a test of heart there. Holy
Yes,
moly,
sir.
those boys lit me up pretty good.
I've seen
but
a couple, have
but
not
I
done
managed.
it. Respect.
Yeah, those guys lit me up pretty hard, and but I managed to gut through it, and man, it was, till this day, it's one of the most epic highlight moments in my life. That was super fun.
Mm-hmm.
Old man doing this crap. I just turned 51,
Wow.
right?
I just turned 50 myself, brother, and the
Yeah,
body just reminds you, you get up and you're like, all right, all right, I'm gonna go slow. That's what I'm gonna do.
yeah, right, right. Yep. No, I'm trying not to get old if I can. Trying to do whatever I can to prevent the oldism.
Keep moving, right? I
Yep.
guess, and
Yep.
try not to abuse the body. And I don't know. We have some just amazing human beings in our martial arts family that I know I don't have the genetics, but I'd like to see try to follow part of that if I could, you
Yeah.
know.
Right. I'm semi-athletic, I guess I could say. But I know I see people every day that have way more abilities than I do, and I'm just, like you say, I feel blessed to have what I have, and it would be, just a shame to not do what I can with it,
Yeah, brother, for
that
sure.
potential. And in the same process, and becoming an instructor, being able to share that with other people. That's just, it's that selfishly giving, right? That's
Yes.
me. Mhm.
Yeah. What do you find is the part of teaching that maybe touches you the most?
You know what? It's going to circle back to that kids thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's those times when those parents come up to me and take me aside and just tell me what a amazing difference their martial arts has made for their children. That's when I get that, I'm really giving it back,
Yeah.
right? That's it's a good feeling to give that, right? I love to give. I was born to give. I really was. It's I'm just that's me.
That is you. I'm not surprised.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not surprised. And you know, when we pay it forward like that, there's something special that goes on there. And at
Hmm.
least for myself, I think I could have used martial arts as a kid. And
Yeah.
if I can give it to somebody as a kid, that's almost as good as getting it. Maybe I don't know.
I'm with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly. It's when I got pulled out, when I was a kid, and this me teaching the kids nowadays. This is me continuing in that journey,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like I might have took a break or whatever, but I'm right back on that same journey again. That feeling I had when I was a kid learning martial arts, I still have that feeling.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
it's
a
it's
lot.
crazy how it grabs you.
It is. And I
Yeah.
think it's an important thing to keep that fire in that way
Right. Right.
because it can maybe become a job and not have that same fire. I have done demonstrations. I got to do a demonstration for this guy at a college once, and he had no idea that I what I was doing. He just said he would listen. And I got there, and it was literally in the closet. He had this office, and I went in there with double stick. And I was just going. And I remember at the end, he said, "Sir, I have no idea what the hell you just showed me, but I admire your passion for doing so."
Right.
Right?
Oh my.
And sometimes that's enough. I'll if someone's passionate about something, that can get me excited about it. How about you? It works for me.
Same deal. Even if I have no interest in whatever it is they're doing, when I see the passion, that jacks me up a little bit. I'm like, go, man, you go, don't stop.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, uh, other than working on the business and all that, which is another whole different gig. Yeah. Where do you find your training going and where do you find your teaching going now? Because there's usually like a journey, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yep.
as we create our AIM program, like
Yep.
what we did 2 years ago, we just don't necessarily do now.
Right. Yeah. My days of hitting pad rounds 5 days a week and learning Panantukan at the same time and all this other stuff. Those days are like in the past now,
Mm-hmm.
because all that time has become consumed with teaching martial arts instead of actively practicing to learn but not really in a lot of ways, because I still feel like even as I'm teaching things and I'm watching the progressions, I'm still figuring things out and I'm still learning. No matter how much I teach, I'm like still coming up with new ways to teach them.
Mm-hmm.
When I see the person that's not getting whatever it is that I'm trying to relay, the message that I'm trying to speak, when I see that, I try to figure out how can I reorganize this message to maybe that hopefully that person can understand this, and I'm always basically reorganizing the lessons now in the messages to try to figure out how to communicate better with everybody, even though honestly, maybe it's not possible, but I certainly try.
Yeah, absolutely.
But and then and because like my training partners that I had a couple of years ago are not my training partners today, and schedules change and life happens and blah blah blah. Yeah, my training it goes in all kinds of different directions. Now I've started I took on jujitsu recently, maybe about a year ago now, something like that. And I got my first stripe on my white belt.
Yeah, brother.
I tell you what, do you know how jacked I feel to be a white belt again?
Yeah.
I'm like that kid that when I left martial arts as a kid, I just still have that feeling. And man, I've been excited with learning jujitsu a lot lately. Training I'm trying to get 3 a weekend if I can. For sure 2. I've been consistently getting 2 and sometimes 3 a week on jujitsu now. So the progress has been slow, but I'm still enjoying the progression.
Yeah, and the progress for me for jujitsu has always been slow too. When you have something towards the end and maybe there's a limited grasp on it, and then we try to use it in real time.
Yeah.
The first level is just watching all for me was like watching all the windows of, oh, I should have, oh, I could have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So I think that's just that's just a part of jujitsu. Also, it's the fun part. I think sometimes it sucks, but what I heard earlier is when you're watching your students, if someone's struggling, you can't wait to figure out a way to help them to not struggle, right?
Yeah.
And all that. And sometimes just being a teacher who's now a student.
Being a part of that same struggle that they're going through.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Every Saturday at 11 a.m., the students that stick around after AIM watch me do BJJ. And yeah, there's a struggle. Absolutely.
And they just watch you like problem solve constantly, like, oh boy, whoops, that was bad.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And in one class, I could maybe in what we do, we could look like the cat's pajamas, okay, to somebody who's new. But then all of a sudden, and you go put on the gi, and it's all of a sudden it's wrapped around my neck, and I'm like, ah!
That's me. That's
yeah,
me.
it's good for everybody, brother.
iPads, I'll be dancing on diamonds, and then throw me on the mat, and I'll be a pile of poo.
Right? But all those skill sets are so malleable anyway, and
Yeah.
sometimes just being on the receiving end of the information, I think, is really good for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love to did you ever see the triangle, receive the technique, deliver the technique, observe the technique, the big triangle there?
Absolutely.
I kind of like to be on that receiving end sometimes. I feel like that might be where I get the most perspective of what's really going on.
That's really funny, though, because that is, out of those 3 things on the learning triangle, that is the least popular. I'd rather much watch somebody else do it, super cool, and then do it to somebody else, really cool. And then when it's done to me,
Yeah.
slightly less
Yeah.
cool. But, that's a part of it. Otherwise, how will you know?
Yeah, this is that little fine line that I balance with that little psychopathic kid that used to have a lot of anger, and now I'm like, how do I figure this out?
Yes.
Like just last Wednesday night, I'm just that one stripe white belt, and I'm rolling with some blue belts and purple belts, and I'm just getting smothered. Kind of giggling a little bit. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what to do. And I just kind of started laughing at myself. Like, ooh, this is humbling. Oh boy. And, but I kind of enjoy, getting smothered doesn't really bother me that much. Like, it's weird. I really feel comfortable in that suck, Kind of learned to make that my happy place. And I don't have and even in life, if I don't have these challenges, life is so boring and I hate it. I need to, I'll create my own challenges if nothing's being thrown at me.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like subliminally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, for
Life's not
sure.
hard enough. What can I do to wrench this?
Yeah, that's it. What harebrained
Uh,
scheme can we cook up next, Pinky? You know?
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Those are the two brain cells that I have. They argue with each other. One's pinky and the other's the brain.
Ah, that's okay. We'll just say it's yin and yang. Okay, we'll make it martial artsy.
Sure.
All right.
Let's go. Let's
That's
go.
I like it. I like it, brother. So, do you have anybody you would recommend for the podcast that is maybe a training partner or somebody? And don't feel obligated. It's no problem.
You know, I there's a guy that I've been training with. I don't know what kind of like internet presence he maintains. He seems kind of removed from. He likes to watch a lot of martial arts videos, and I train with him a couple times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I said this to him once. I was like, I might have met the one person today who likes martial arts more than I do
Huh.
when I met him. But this guy's an interesting guy. He's an immigrant. He's been all over the world, seen war and all kinds of interesting things. But, yeah, anyway, he's a fascinating person. I like to train with him. I could run it by him and then pass it back to you.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
See,
And they don't.
yeah,
Whoever comes on doesn't need to have an internet
yeah,
following or anything like
right,
that. We're
right.
just here for like good growth, mature conversations on martial arts. Now, if
Hmm.
they have a school, they're welcome to give us the information. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna put some things in the comments for MKG Edina,
Hmm.
because after folks watch this awesome interview, they're gonna want to come check you out, brother. So, but
Right
yeah, it's
on.
yeah, it's
On.
not a requirement at all. Yeah, I'd be honored. Put me in touch with them. That would be super cool. Super
Mhm.
cool. That brings me
Yeah.
to another part of the martial arts. What is it about the martial arts you think where there's really good relationships that come out of the martial arts? And
Yeah.
for me, the only thing I could think of, and I'm going to use buzzwords and all that happy horse shit now, but, uh, vulnerability.
Hmm.
Because there's a certain amount of vulnerability that goes on, and my martial arts friends are a bit like in the 90s. I lived in New York City. I tried my hand at acting,
Hmm.
and those two groups of friends were very close.
Hmm.
And I used to think to myself, one of the only things that is like a common denominator is both groups
Yeah.
saw me make an ass out of myself at least once, and
Right.
they were like, "All right, just keep going, kid," you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're saying, and I know what you're getting at, and I've got a couple of kids here. The lady I married, she's had a couple of kids. I've been around since they were young, so they know their father.
Mm-hmm.
But I watched. But anyway, it's not about the father, but the kids, they're all in sports. The boy does soccer and the girl
Mm-hmm.
does basketball, and I see the same thing when they're out there and they're playing. And when for that split second when they have that ball, they are the vulnerability right there, and it's up for them to do whatever they can do it.
Yeah.
And if they do it, that's awesome. They get a bunch of high fives and cheers. And if they don't get it, it's like, you get the next one, right?
Yeah.
And it's that we're gonna keep going anyway. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter. You missed one, keep going, right? And we're like that kind of with martial arts,
Definitely.
in the same way. Is like I shouldn't have stuck my arm out there. Whoops.
Note to
Right?
self: don't try to push him off.
And then the second note to myself is, I think he set me up to put my arm out there. Don't fall for the trap. That's the next thing I'm thinking.
Yes, sir.
Oh, there was a process, but yeah, we're making ourselves vulnerable to each other. And like, when I see the kids like test, or even when I see the adults test, I do a lot of the adult testing, and it's like they're all kind of putting themselves out there. They're
Yeah.
looking for some critique. They're hoping that they're going to do it right, but at the same time, they're hoping that they can get something that they might have missed.
Mm-hmm.
Putting themselves out there and just making themselves vulnerable in front of each other, and
Coming out on
it's a
the other
huge.
side, brother. Nothing like
It's
coming out on the other side of something.
Yeah, yeah, and that's something you won't see from the kids that like play on the internet all day, or the kids that are indoors. You and me are about the same age, and you
Mm-hmm.
remember when the Nintendo came out, and there was a certain group of your friends that you didn't really see that much anymore,
Yeah,
right? You
for
remember
sure.
that? yeah. And then the people out that were like us that were still out at the karate school or in the yard playing football with each other or playing night games in
Or
the
just in
neighborhood,
my case,
whatever.
out causing trouble, shenanigans. But I was
Right?
out.
Shenanigans. We were the ones, we started calling those things no friendos.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. No friendos. Because those kids, like, they just disappeared. Like, they weren't part of the gang anymore out there raising shenanigans, anymore. They were just at home being safe.
Yeah, no
Whatever.
friendos. That's quite illuminating considering the world we live in right now.
Hmm. And here we are today,
Yeah,
40 years
absolutely.
later. I was probably 11 or 12 or something when that thing came out, I want to say. Sounds about right.
So, I wanted to ask you as well a question. When a beginner comes in your school and you want to give them like one piece of advice that could help them in their martial arts journey. It could be anything as simple as just make sure you show up. Yeah,
Hmm.
you know, uh, what is a piece of advice you might give to a beginner in the martial arts?
I think I'm starting to recognize I'm getting pretty good at reading some body language. And,
Important.
sometimes I see, those beginners, they might be in there for a few weeks. They might get through their first month. But I think a lot of times I can kind of see it and read it that they might not really be enjoying it the way that maybe they thought they would.
Yes.
But when you see the people that actually really enjoy what's going on, but might be struggling along the way because maybe their learning progression might be slow, that's when maybe I might just, everybody learns at a different rate. And I try
Yeah.
to remind people that, and I'm like, just because we're not understanding what's going on today doesn't, this might make more sense in the future. Maybe there's just a certain lesson that you need to have before this makes sense to you. And we just haven't received that lesson yet.
Mm.
But I try to tell them, the part of the mastery is the repetition. Whatever I'm teaching today, if I'm not teaching the same thing tomorrow, if you're sticking around, I'll be teaching it again. I try to keep like kind of on a certain, like I'll have like a progression, and if I'm seeing people struggling kind of at the beginning of the progression, I'll be like, we're going to be working on this all month. Or maybe the person comes in in the middle of the progression and we've done a lot of the groundwork leading up to that, and they're kind of struggling to hang in, and I have to just remind them, like, we're kind of into the more deep end right now. But I always try to get some of the basic stuff in there, and really what I just try to tell people is just, stick with it. It's repetition. You might not be good at it. Everybody's in there for different reasons, and when I look at the class, sometimes I'll even say it. I'm like, look, I know all you guys aren't in here learning how to fight. This is just something we do recreationally for exercise,
Mm-hmm.
to hang out with a cool bunch of people. And if it's all that is, then that's amazing. If it's just you're there for camaraderie and you just enjoy the exercise and the group of people, that's the best. That's almost better than the people that are in there learning how to fight, in my opinion.
Yeah. I really enjoy that energy.
Boy,
Right.
I don't know if I answered your question at all.
No, I think you did. And like a good JKD guy, you gave me a couple different answers. Right.
Yeah, right,
And what I heard was show up,
right.
repeat. And the last part, what I heard was, and I struggle with this at our school, right, is that sometimes we'll compare ourselves, or students will compare ourselves to somebody else in the class.
Mm,
And that very important moment of, by the way, buddy, we started this 2 weeks ago,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
hard for people sometimes,
right.
especially when they're trying to learn all the mechanics in their
Mm-hmm.
in their head, thought
Yeah,
process wise, right? And sometimes I'm not the best well, I mean, we all have our moments, but sometimes I'll have people ask questions about a mechanic that I don't think that their body's ready for.
100%.
So I try to break it down into, well, we're going to try to do this as best
It's
we can. But I still want to answer their question because it's valid. But I feel
yeah,
like if I give them the answer they're looking for, that'll be the next thing they concentrate on, and now they won't keep their hands up.
and then they're going to lose whatever else it was that they were already getting.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Mm-hmm. No, I same thing when that newcomer is in there and I'm over there kind of, because I wander around the class and I try to give a little help to some of the people that need the help. And when they ask me the question of, what about all this stuff? And then they start going on to a list of things that they think they need to fix. I was like, oh, that's something, we'll get there. We'll get there. Let's just work on this one thing though. I want you to fix this one thing today. And then we'll see how that goes. And then I'll tell them, we're going to fix this right now. And when it's looking sharp, we're going to fix something else. And we'll just keep fixing stuff. We'll just keep fixing stuff as it comes up. Like I can literally, and I'll even say it when I'm demoing during the class, especially when there's newer people, and I'll look at that newer person, maybe even kind of with eye contact, and I'll be like, I can really detail the crap out of you guys, but you would be even more lost than you are right now.
Yeah.
But this is the basic essential of the drill that we're trying to do. And let's just get this part of it right. And then, we can figure out the rest of it later as we're practicing, And then like sometimes because I kind of try to appease the mass. And sometimes if I end up with like a 50% really beginner group and a 50% more advanced group, and because of the way I switch partners a lot all the time, when I see the advanced people working together, I'll give them that extra piece that I didn't give the rest of the class. All right, now you got that. Looks sweet. Here, try this. Do a couple of these things. I'll give them a couple examples or something like that. And then I'll walk over to the beginner person who I've just given an intermediate lesson to. So now I've given the advanced person the advanced lesson. The whole class got the intermediate lesson. And then I'm going to walk over to the beginner and say, all right, let's just X this part. We'll nix this part. I just want you to do this part right here and just get this figured out, because this is the basic of the drill that everything's building off of, right? And just dial it back for that person, right? Yeah, I think that's what happens now. Thank you for asking these questions. That's really interesting perspective for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize that I was giving the intermediate lesson the whole time and then dialing it back for the beginners and making it more advanced for the advanced. I just never thought of it that way.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, I mean, martial arts is also the middle path. Right.
Yeah.
We're and being in JKD, we could detail it like as much as whatever. But what I find is a lot of folks in my neck of the woods are used to a martial art that has forms. And when there's a form, you can give them a more detailed answer. Let's say your block goes to the third eye, right?
Yeah.
And so that is, that's a good answer. But if he's taller and he's punching down, you might want to raise it up higher, right? But when folks are looking for that answer, it's sometimes hard. My first Sifu, Steve Fristow, used to say that why is it that martial arts is the only athletic endeavor that you learn, but everything else you have to play and do. Right. And he used to say that, like, and at that point it was like the early 90s. So we're still looking for the, inside Kung Fu might have a picture with the secret technique. Right. But he used to say to me, he was like, well, when you are watching college basketball, you have two masters that are the coaches, but nobody expects them to go out there and play like the players.
Yep.
So sometimes I think it's just almost the way that folks come to us and what they have an idea of what the martial art is going to be before they get there.
Right. Yeah. That's an interesting that you made it like that. Like, sure, we play football, we play soccer, we play basketball. We don't play martial arts. We learn martial arts. But trying to add that play into it, that's the environment that we're creating as the Sifu or as the instructor, however whatever you're titled at, or if you even keep
whatever term you choose to use. Yes.
I tell people my name's Tim.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The kids that I teach, they can call me Mr. Tim, just because I'm an adult and they're kids. Good enough for me. We'll just formalize it at that. Once my belts come off, and then become Tim again.
Absolutely. I ended up being Sifu because we had a children's program, and I never knew anything about martial arts for kids. So when I went out to the academy, I watched 5 Inasanto children's classes and wrote down everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that was right after that gentleman we talked about earlier was like, yeah, you're not going to teach kids. You'll starve, and
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, I think I'm going to need a notebook. I might want to look into this, you know.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to schedule some time for the kids class.
Yeah. And so by kind of watching that children's class and my friend Justin Morris out in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, outside of that I had no perspective on where to go and how to teach kids.
Hmm.
So kind of learning that piece. And then right now it's the school season, right? Getting ready to come back up.
Mm-hmm.
So many folks are calling and they're really expecting karate,
Yeah.
and that's okay. That's awesome that they think
Mm-hmm.
that. It's just
Yeah.
not at all what we do,
Oh,
So
yeah.
trying to get them in.
My mother-in-law, she's like, "So, how's karate going?"
Yeah, brother.
I've actually never studied karate, but yeah, the martial arts is going great. I love it
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I do. I don't like to try to box myself into a certain. I don't want to get stuck on any one path.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that, and like when the parents come in too, sometimes they're not really even sure what to expect. MKG martial arts, what is this?
Yeah.
It's not dojo karate, and it's not USA karate or national karate or any of the big names that we're familiar with,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that the parents are familiar with. And then I try to explain it. Well, we're a mixed arts school, and we start with weaponry, and then I'm like, but it's not to teach them how to use weapons. It's
Yes.
just to make them smart.
Mm-hmm. I with those same conversations, and it's just, I don't know. It's fascinating to me sometimes, Tim,
Yeah.
because right, if I'm having problems in the house and I call a plumber, I
Hmm.
don't argue with him on how to do the job.
Right.
Right? And so
Right.
sometimes when people come in and they have a real idea of what we're doing, like, yeah, we're going to have the same character development. We're going to have all these other things you expect from this other experience,
Yep.
but it's
Yep.
not going to look at all the same. Well, it's good and bad. Sometimes it's good in a way that we end up with very open minded students. And sometimes it's bad because we don't meet the expectation
Yeah.
that quite
Right.
honestly the person doesn't really know what it is that they're talking about anyway. So
Right. Right.
it's always fascinating. I hope
Yeah.
this is way like past in the podcast now because now I'm just like talking crap about people who call. No, I'm
Oh,
just
I love
joking.
it. Yeah.
I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
There was.
nobody usually listens this far, Tim. If there's anything that we could say right now, you know what I mean. We'll just let it fly.
No. 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 This is great. I had some parents. They brought their young girl in the other day, and the young girl is also a hockey player, and her parents were like, "We watched her just get slammed into those boards," and we're like, "We need to teach her how to fight." I'm like, "Okay." Well, I'm not going to teach her how to fight per se, but I will help her learn how to handle herself and deal with energy. I think I can
Mm-hmm.
handle her that far. I wish I knew how to skate. Maybe I would have a little more to offer, but never. Growing up in Minnesota, and I never learned how to ice skate. How about that?
Brother, I don't know nothing about it. I don't know nothing
All
about
that
it.
ice all winter long, and I never ice skated.
So it's funny you bring that up. My first Sifu, Steve Fristo, and most of the time, if I say something intelligent, it came from him. Okay,
Mm,
it's just one of those things. But he got to train some hockey players, and he
cool.
showed them stick and dagger tie-ups because when you get overhooks and you start
Yeah,
grabbing the
yeah, 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 yeah.
so
Yo,
yeah, sir, so like those little motions that at the time, like the first time you see that, you're like, huh?
mm-hmm,
If you're expecting somebody to yell and break a board, and then you
mm-hmm,
see this kind of motion, you're like, huh?
mm-hmm.
Very
Yeah, yeah,
powerful motion, though.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm not going to show her that one per se, but we'll do some pummeling.
Yes,
We'll just say
sir.
that. We'll
Yes,
do a lot
sir.
of pummeling and control, pummeling and body control.
You know
We'll
what to
go
do.
there.
Absolutely. That's all the business right there. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Not trying to teach 7-year-old kids how to Jersey fight.
Well, and these okay. These were a little bit older, but still at the same
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
I need to be quiet. I'm on fire today. Too much coffee. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, look, let's give them stick and dagger
Right?
and throw them in the arena.
Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. That's fun. I just get jacked up when I talk about martial arts, obviously.
Yeah, brother. Me and you
Mhm.
both. Me and you both. So, what days are you open there in Edina?
Yeah, I'm there currently. I'm there Mondays and Thursday evenings, and then Saturdays for the early part of the afternoon. I'm adding Tuesdays in a few weeks after Labor Day. I'll be opening up for Tuesday nights there,
Great.
and trying to get a jujitsu coach over there. I'd like to get jujitsu over there a couple of days a week now. You know, partially for my own selfish reasons because it's something I would like to get in on the mat a little bit if I can, or at least even just be able to watch and observe the classes. I gain a lot through that 1/3 of that triangle,
Mm-hmm.
just through the observation. But, so we're gonna add that coming up in a few weeks, and then I guess we'll just see how that goes and might keep dialing it forward. But for now, it's mostly a pilot school, just kind of
Mm-hmm.
a pilot program, kind of testing the waters, seeing what kind of interest there is out there. Um, there's kind of there's different kinds of martial arts competitions out there. You got a couple of taekwondo schools out there that we're competing with, and then
Mm-hmm.
we got Greg Nelson. He's got a few schools, so he's got a school that's not too far from there that we kind of compete with a little bit. And then there's a jiu-jitsu school not too far from where we're at, and they're pretty big and well established. But
Mm-hmm.
we're not a jiu-jitsu school, and we're not a Thai boxing school. We're a JKD school that
Mm-hmm.
teaches you know Kali and or FMA Filipino martial arts and Muay Thai and some Brazilian jiu-jitsu and other things. Obviously, we kind of have our own little niche, I guess you could say. So
I would definitely say it. That's definitely
yeah,
one of
yeah.
those things and unique. By the way, your
Hmm.
facility's beautiful. I do check you out,
Oh,
on social
oh,
media, and I want to make it over there.
oh, right.
It seems like a really nice spot. I see that Daya's taught over there a few times as well. If I think.
Yep. Yep, that's correct. Yeah, she had regular classes there a couple of days, or 1 day a week. She had a regular class there for, I want to say, probably 4 or 5 months. And we knew it was going to be a temporary thing, but we're like, well, let's just get her while we can.
Well, yeah, you'd be
You
crazy
know,
not
like,
to.
get it while the getting's good, because it's how it is. Here today, gone tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But now with this opening that we're having for the Tuesday edition, Rick is going to come out and start teaching some classes there every week, coming with this new Tuesday opening. So now I get to have him over there and actively get more active instruction under him, which is nice. I'm really excited about. For probably the last couple of years, really I've been attending his wooden dummy class weekly, but that's the only class I've been learning with Rick under.
Mm-hmm.
I maybe getting in on a couple of Sunday seminars, and I can get a kind of a 3 hour block every couple of months on a Sunday. But that wooden dummy class has been my thing with Rick a lot over the last couple of years. So I'm looking forward to getting more FMA training with him. Because I love Ponantukan. I think that's my favorite, even more
Yeah.
than Muay Thai. I think Ponantukan's my favorite for some reason. It's not what I tested through, but I just have this. There's this intrigue, mystery. There's a mystery to it. I
I
don't know
see
what
you
it is.
light up when you start talking about it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
super, super cool. And I mean,
yeah,
to have Rick Fay coming by you, I mean, there'd
yeah,
be something wrong with you if you weren't excited for that. I'm sorry. But the man
yeah,
actually, I mean, he's flown to Europe and around the world. And, you can't,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you got to be the best. You are pretty
Right,
dang close for somebody to buy an airline ticket. Nobody's buying one for me to, go anywhere. Right. And that's all right. But yeah,
right, right.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. Good for you. What do you like about Pontotoc the most?
It's just like, man, it's like, you've seen Giro Nisano talk about, from every sector, from every position, you should have 12 options, or, you've heard him say things like that, right? And I'm like, that's a huge list of things to do. And I,
Yes.
and I think that's what it is, compared to like, Muay Thai, I love it because it really gets the heart cranking and I get to defend myself. Like, it's that gives you that little survival instinct kind of. But
Mm-hmm.
Pontoon, like, there's a it's different. Like I'm just the knowledge that's embedded in it is so intricate and time consuming to really understand all the mechanics and the positions of everything. It's like it's just way more complex than Thai boxing.
Yeah,
So I think
well,
I like I think it's the mental challenge of it,
I could see that.
the complexity of it. I think that's what makes me like it a lot. Similar to jujitsu, I kind of have that same feeling when I train Panantukan and I'm learning Panantukan. That complexity, that brain work, that's problem solving, that's happening in my head. I think that's what I like is that mental challenge, figuring out those positions and the energies and all that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I want to put you on the spot. Could you tell our viewers what Panantukan is?
So maybe if you searched it, it might come up like as dirty boxing. But according to what I have for information on Panantukan, it is one of 12 areas of Kali. I believe that Inasanos passed through us to us, and it would be specifically more the empty-handed portion of Kali. The oh crap, I've lost my weapons. Now what do I do? Well, in this culture, I don't personally really like to carry any weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I won't or will not, but I don't really like to carry weapons, and I just think the better I can be with just my brain and my hands,
Mm-hmm.
that's good enough for me. And I feel like it satisfies that need, that kind of self-preservation mode, right? You're learning the skills that you need to have without a weapon, and potentially learning how to defend against weapons with the same skill sets. It's pretty neat. There's dirty tricks, a lot of off balancing, like we call it limb destructions, where it might be trying to break the hand or the elbow or doing soft tissue nerve damage or muscular damage, depending on how you attack and what targets you're acquiring. But there's hard targets, soft targets on a body, how to deal with each of those different types of targets. And dirty tricks, off balancing, breaking stuff. I just break it, break it, break it. Everything seems like it's break it to me. I've never seen so many fluid series where you break it, break it, break it, break it, and then they fall down and you break it some more.
Yeah.
Ah, it's pretty
Yeah.
wild.
Sometimes it seems like overkill until you at least I try to tell the students like we might not be breaking it, but it's not going to come back and harm a family member.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's when you know what I mean when they're in the
Hmm.
essence of that kind of piece or whatever.
Yeah,
Like another
yeah.
part of defanging the snake almost.
Yeah, yeah. I think if I was gonna, I mean, unfortunately, it's such a long, complex art to learn.
Yeah.
But if I was gonna recommend a martial art for self-defense, that would be it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's not one of those things where you go to a weekend Panantukan seminar and suddenly you're able to defend yourself using Panantukan.
Mm-mm.
There's a couple of good bread and butter moves that come out of the system if you've been shown. It's a long thing to learn, and if to try to use something like that efficiently, it's like I still don't even know. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, and I still wonder, could I use it effectively? Like,
Oh,
I don't know. I hope
absolutely.
I never have to find out, but the question is in my mind.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're very lucky to have access to Guru Rick, who is one of the leading authorities in
Hmm.
the Inasanto Panantukan,
Hmm.
right? And so for a lot
Yeah.
of folks, you might find a video and be like, that looks pretty cool. But if you've been doing it for 6 hours and you're watching Rick and he's not even getting started, you're like, oh,
Yeah. How deep is this wormhole?
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Beautiful
And you
art.
know, we talked a little bit about how the instructor gives the intermediate lesson. And
Mm-hmm.
when I watch Rick, he's giving the intermediate lesson, but doing a lot of really advanced stuff while he's doing the intermediate lesson. It's funny. The things he'll talk about, but you're watching his hands and his movements, and he's doing a lot more than what he's talking about. And some of the people will pick up on that. There's this whole little deal where I watched him do the backhand, and then he throws that little thumb flick in there, and I kept watching him do this. I started trying it. I'm like, oh man, next thing you know, it's second nature. I can't even throw a backhand without flicking the thumb up now. Every time sometimes my trainer, if they're holding pads or whatever, they'll feel the pop up. hit the pad with the one hand, will hit it and it'll go pop, pop. Because that thumb is hitting it with a little energy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
A little Amanico.
That's super cool, man.
Amanico, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's totally the Amanico, right? It's empty hand.
Huh.
Funny thing, if you want to teach your side-in elbows to your students, put a stick in their hand and show them how to do an Amanico. It's the same side-in elbow.
Huh. Like bring it this way?
Yeah. Yeah, your side-in elbow, it's an Amanico. All the commonalities between the other arts is kind of fascinating. I see them all over the place.
Brother.
The little bridge eyes.
It's beautiful. It's almost like you start to see the Matrix. Right? And after
Oh,
a while, there's only one art, and it's like, well, but they go like this. And then
Yeah.
where their foot is, and this, that, and the other, and the angle, and all that. And well, that's the art part, but they all go like that. You know,
Yeah.
at least for me, I have to dumb it down if I'm trying to do more than one thing. So I have to look at the root motion.
Right. Yeah, and then so we're working Kimuras in Jiu-Jitsu right now. And one of the ways that we did it is we had to go in and feed an underhook and then get over the top of it. And then the way they showed the underhook, I was like, oh, that's just like Panantukan, the way they kind of grab the top of the arm and kind of roll the bicep over.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's like Panantukan. I see this now.
I see it. All right. So maybe someday now I'm going to have to come check out your gym someday when Rick's there and doing Panantukan.
Yeah.
Stack the deck.
Yeah, let me know. Yeah, come on into town. I got a place you can sleep.
Brother, appreciate it so much.
I can throw up for you.
Yeah, well, I want you to know I'm the guy who'll show up on your couch. Let me tell you, you know.
That's all right.
That's it.
Our
That's
couch
it.
folds out, so.
My man.
All right.
All right, brother. So would you like to come back and talk to us again sometime?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's check in again.
For sure. This was a great conversation. I really appreciate you coming on the show, brother. And we look forward to continue to watch the Edina location MKG grow. And at some point, I'd like to come train with you and especially be interested in watching your children's program.
Oh, yeah.
The very fact that you're passionate about it as much as you are in creating games and stuff is really neat. And there's not enough of us that are doing these arts that I think are teaching the kiddos. You know, and there's a lot to it. And however anybody chooses to do it, I'm not here to judge. Like I said, very luckily, there was a gentleman, Chuck John Greco, who looked over at me and told me within 2 sentences, you know,
you're going to starve, bro.
You're going to starve. That's it. You know what I mean? And I was like, well, and then I was like thinking about it, like, oh, well.
Yeah.
Let's pretend he's only been doing this 10 years or 15 years longer than me. I'm going to pretend he knows what he's talking about. And go back and watch everything that Gura and Asano does with those kids for the next week.
You know, with the kids, though, you have to satisfy 2 customers, though. You have to satisfy the kid and the parent.
Yeah, brother, that is absolutely the truth. And although therein, you know, lies some of the issues, quite often it's hard, but I'm sure you do it. I think we do it too, because at the end of the day, parents just want those kiddos to be with a little bit more confidence, right? And there's something about watching a kid come in on the, you know, the mats, not know what to expect, to have this kind of posture, and then leave and be like, all right, Coach Tim, I'll check you later.
Oh, I watched that. It's beautiful to watch them come in all awkward and like, you know, not sure how to interact with people, to 4 belts later, now they're like the superstar in the class.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to watch that, just the personal growth that happens for them.
They inspire us, don't they?
Absolutely. Every day. Yep. Children are our future, right?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Very inspiring. So, once again, FormABLE Podcast here. My name's Jamie Sparling. This is Mr. Tim Smith from MKG Edina, and a martial arts instructor, children's coach, all around good dude. And we want to thank you for watching the FormABLE Podcast today. like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave us a comment and ask us maybe a question, or ask myself a question, or Tim, about our kids program. We'd love to hear about yours. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, sir.